Do you ever tell your clients your story?
Um, Little bits and pieces if I need to, because I think it will advance their stance or their case. Otherwise, I try to keep a very professional distance from them because I don't want my story to be theirs or vice versa.
Do you ever talk about it in any marketing that you do?
I haven't. There's some back and forth with it. I think that there's some leverage to it with marketing, but I also have worked very hard on trying to get past the mindset of like, this is my story versus this is my story now. And so trying to change those chapters has its own difficulties for me sometimes. And so I'll leverage it for clients when I need to, but otherwise I don't really do that. I've used it to some extent for like motivational speaking, and I've done a little bit of that with some of the schools. But yeah, so I guess the short answer is not really.
Yeah, I wonder why not. And what are the difficulties? You mentioned the difficulties. I wonder, or are those just excuses?
A little bit of both, I think. It's not difficult for me to talk about my past. It's some of it's an excuse, just because I try to not let that be who I am now. But at the same time, I think especially in family law, there's a very difficult situation in dealing with people who are already, for lack of better terms, emotionally compromised, especially females coming from a male. It's very easy for them to have an almost like heroic white knight type attachment. And so I have to avoid that because obviously there's ethical issues, but there's also personal ones.
Sure.
And so I don't want those bonds to be too close.
I get that. I will tell you this. When we talked at dinner, we sat, and I don't know how long we talked, but I felt an instant connection to you whenever I learned your story. I don't know if it was right after you and I talked or during our conversation. I can't remember if I texted Becca or I told her right away as soon as we're done. I said, we got to get him on the show. Like it was like right. Because I don't think you understand the power that of your story. I really don't think you understand it. That if you were to convey that out to the world, how much more likable, not that you're not likable now, but it's not what I'm saying at all.
It's okay.
Yeah. But how much more likable you are.
Right. And I don't disagree with that. Again, the issue is for me is in family law, right? If I was in criminal, if I was in PI, any other area, I think I would be much more open to it. But the difficulty I have, and it was the same thing because I did group therapy once upon a time, is dealing with clients who end up with these emotional attachments that are just not appropriate, and it creates its own set of hardships.
I understand. I understand that part of it, and I agree with the last part about you don't want the emotional attachments. I do think you could, from a marketing standpoint, at least talk about it. Like put it out there, like like your bio. You know what I mean? Like on your website, you could. There's ways of doing it without creating too strong of an attachment.